Welcome back to the Central PA Pour. And if you can see, we found Kevin.
Where's Waldo?
I've been around.
We started a little thing. Where's Kevin?
Yeah.
So we found Kevin. Where you been traveling, man?
Well, last week was Florida, and then Indiana, Michigan, Ohio. I've been all over.
Man. Sounds like that Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere.
I was just gonna bring that up about
I've
I've been
been
everywhere,
everywhere,
man. Yeah.
Oh, don't forget New York City. I was there
New York
too.
City.
Yeah.
That's right. You went to a ball game and everything. You shithead.
I thought you went to a play too.
I did.
And you
You
went
did
to
go
a
to a
ball
play.
game.
Broadway. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
Anyways, I'm Bret. This is Kevin off here to my left, down below me, and Dave is off to my right.
Here we are.
Off. So we're welcoming back into the studio. We got a wonderful guest that we've been trying to get in the podcast, but make sure you give us a like and subscribe wherever you get your audio platforms and your podcast, and help us out, man. We're having fun. Check out our merch store and everything else. But what's else been going on? We're into the summer now as this is being released, and looking forward to season 5 coming up, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
all right.
Yeah, not too much going on with me, just doing a little bit of remodeling. That's about it.
Remodeling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just
It's
love
always fun to do.
Yeah. Just love it.
All right. Well, hey, let's bring in our guest here. We're going to welcome in Cody
Yeah.
Edwards from Hidden Still Spirits. Welcome, Cody.
Thanks. How's it going?
Good, buddy. Hey, glad to have you on here.
Happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Hidden Stills.
So my name's Cody. I'm the head distiller at Hidden Still Spirits. I've been the head distiller here since January of 2016. And a lot has been going on here at Hidden Still. Our main goal is to barrel as much bourbon as possible, and I oversee every aspect that goes into that main goal.
Wow. So how do you get to become the head distiller? Is this something you had a desire to do? Did you study for it?
So I have a science background from Penn State, and when I graduated, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and my girlfriend at the time, her dad was opening Hidden Still Spirits, and I humbly asked if there was anything available at the time, and I started out here just as a laborer, whipping grain around, just doing anything that was asked of me. And then 4 months into opening, the original head distiller left, and the founder, he asked if I would take over the operation and run it and grow it. And fast forward, what's almost 9 years later, that's kind of how I got my start.
Wow, that's quite a story and progression. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was obviously something that comes with a certain connotation, with it, being my now father-in-law working for him. But I always use that as motivation to progress myself forward and just teach myself everything that I possibly could learn about this. So, anybody around here in the company knows, I earned my keep here.
That's cool. But did you have any background in distilling, or because you just happened to be a laborer there, you picked it up? I mean, the science definitely goes with what you're doing.
Right. So when you're in this type of industry, it's very easy to become obsessed with it and then teach, do research and stuff after hours. You know what I mean? Like it's not so bad, going home and, you may have cranked out an 8 hour, 10 hour, 12 hour shift, but it's not so bad going home and just continuing to develop your skill and research more and listen to interviews and read textbooks and stuff like that. I mean, not many people get the opportunity to make whiskey for a living. So
that's cool.
That is cool.
I mean, this is a guest right up your guys' alley.
Oh yeah.
up the whiskey. And Dave, you actually were there just the other day to pick the product up. So what'd you think?
Oh yeah, wow. I tell you what, you talk about a fabulous setup out there. It's just unreal. You have to go, everybody has to go see it, because I had no idea what I was going to be seeing whenever I walked in there. And I was impressed with the first thing I did when I walked in. Is just 5 huge steel tanks. You walk in the door and they're right there in front of you, and then you find out that that's for their future future expansion for their business. And I was fortunate enough to get the nickel tour. Actually, it was a dime tour. I mean, it was super. And Cuddy took me through the place, and I was able to see the massive amount of barrels that they have for their product. And I was like thinking if I can get one in my van, but
do you have security on that? Because if he was trying to walk out with one, Cody,
the founder always says if there's someone who can lift that 500-pound barrel into the back of their truck, you don't want to mess with the person doing it. So go ahead and have it.
Don't tempt us. Where there's a will, there's always a way, right?
All right, I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw up there was kind of cool was your speakeasy. I was impressed. He took me in and he showed me a room where they have some of the memorabilia in it, and it was a smaller room and everything. And one of the bottles, he pulled it down like this, and the door opened in the wall.
So it's an actual speakeasy. It's hidden.
Yes, it's hidden, and you go in there, and I was just impressed.
Is that where the hidden still was at?
No, but we call it the speakeasy. It's not an actual speakeasy where we're doing anything, sort of illegal or anything like that. It's a conference room, but yeah, so it's a door and a faux door or a fake liquor shelf that has old decanters on them or old bottles. And I want to say probably 70% of the decanters and the bottles are actually full and sealed. So there's still whiskey in them. And there's a bottle off to the side, very unassuming, and you tilt it and the door pops open and you walk into our conference room.
That's cool. That's cool. How did the hidden stills? I mean, you said it's your current father-in-law. Is he the one that started this? Is this something he started, or what was that dream like?
Yeah. So he was in the petroleum industry for 30 to 35 years. It changes every time he tells me. Yeah, he owned a petroleum company that serviced and built gas stations, and he was ready to get out of that. It was, very, very high stress and comes with, some health risks, you know what I mean? Dealing with that, dealing with fuel. So he was ready to venture off into something else, and Pennsylvania had just changed the laws, making it easier for upstart distilleries to thrive. And it was something that he's been kind of passionate about over the years and wanted to venture into it.
That's pretty cool. Well, I tell you what, we don't have your whiskey sitting in front of us, but we do have some of your new canned cocktails. I think we got a nice clear one here called a margarita. So tell us a little what this is and what got you into the canned cocktail idea.
So what got us into the canned cocktail was really the fact that sector of the industry is growing extremely fast. And we wanted to be a part of it as opposed to not being a part of it. And a lot of the venues in Hershey have a lot of open availability for placement with that specific part of the industry. So we developed a 6 SKU portfolio of canned cocktails and are starting to get into said venues. And obviously we sell them in our retail center. which have become very popular just because of the accessibility of canned cocktails. It's a lot easier for travel as opposed to like a glass bottle and something. So,
it's pretty cool. So this is the margarita.
Yep. So this is the margarita made with authentic tequila from Mexico, and it's your classic margarita. We wanted to, pay homage to what it tastes like at a bar. It has the sweetness, it has the lime, a little bit of salinity in there to sip it as if you were just mixed a high end cocktail.
All right, so this is the margarita. You got one there in front of you?
I do.
Yeah.
Nice.
I heard that.
Definitely.
All right, so here's two Hidden Stills
Margaritas.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the ship on that.
That's
Cheers.
okay. Cheers to Jimmy Buffett.
Oh wow.
That's real.
Just the right enough pucker and sweetness that are sitting on there. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's ultra refreshing. When we were designing these canned cocktails, we wanted them to be light. We wanted them to be refreshing and extremely crushable.
Yeah, I have to tell you, this is one of the better ones that I've had. When Jimmy Buffett died, the girls in the neighborhood got together and they had a Jimmy Buffett or margarita party, and
that's right.
And we had quite a few of them, and this is very good. I wish we had this one there.
Yeah,
This is really good.
This is really good. I wish we had this one.
So this isn't your tequila, you said?
Nope. So when it comes to Hidden Still, we're all about authenticity, and we make everything that we possibly can. And if we source it from another producer, we fully disclose it. So
That's good. More of this. I gotta have to.
Yeah. So
when next time we go up to Hershey, we're
definitely got to make a trip to Hidden Still.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we bottle that same tequila under our Hidden Still line, so you can get the same tequila that's in this cocktail.
All right. Cocktail. So is this distributed locally, or can they only get it at where you're distributing it, self-distributing, or how can they get canned cocktails from you?
So you can come to Hidden Still Spirits and buy them by the 4-pack or case. We just got them in the Fine Wine and Good Spirits. I actually think I looked on their website and they're actually on the shelf now. We're with PA Libations, so you can, if you're out in Western Pennsylvania, you can get them at their retail centers or out at the little retail shop they have in Philadelphia. And then we do self-distribute these to even bars and restaurants. A lot of brew pubs like RTDs, if they're not completely set up to do cocktails with, the glassware, the shakers and everything. Right. It's very easy for them to, pop a can and pass it across the bar. Right.
How many different product lines do you have?
We have quite a big book, I would say. Like I said, we have 6 different RTD SKUs. We have the David E line of bourbon that has 4 to 6 different expressions. And then we have our Hidden Still line of products that is, it's the gin, it's the vodka, silver tequila, gold tequila, 3 different rum expressions, aged, spiced, clear. Wow. And then we have I don't want to say, it's not quite a private label, but we do the PA Grand Masters blend, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the Masons at all, but the top dog, he's the Pennsylvania Grand Master. And 3 different Grand Masters now, we've done a private label with the Masonic emblem, and we license it for a little bit of money, and the Masons are one of the most philanthropic organizations in the world. So a lot of those proceeds end up going to the charity and so forth. So
Nice.
Now, does that Grand Master that get to help you put the recipe together?
No, it's one of our set recipes that we do in house, but they work on designing the label.
Okay.
The first edition, the Grandmaster was a fireman, so it was kind of like fireman themed with stuff he wanted, and it had the compass and everything, and then the second edition he was something with vehicles, so it had a Corvette wheel on it. And then this one, I don't know his occupation, but their big thing was lighting the way, which is in reference to mentorship and leadership and bringing, the future generations along, sort of thing. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know your products are in a lot of the craft beer houses in at least in our area. I'm not sure how far that reach goes with you guys. How did that come about, or is it just because the way their liquor license are to get a brewery open that they got to carry PA spirits, and you guys are one of their big choices?
Yeah, so obviously it's advantageous for us and them. They have to choose a PA product, and we have such a large book that it's kind of one-stop shop from them. Their ordering is kind of streamlined working with us. Now, we don't do liqueurs and stuff like that. It's something we do plan on getting into, but when it comes to raw spirit, our quality and our pricing, I really think stands close to the top. So it's, like I said, just very advantageous for them to pick us.
Sounds like we're going to have to work with Cody here and getting a Hidden Stills barrel to age one of our brews.
Yeah, that's something that's really fun about that, doing those sort of collabs. And then
unless we can get him to turn his back and we can get one of them out of there without him fully loaded.
Yeah, 500.
What do you mean? I want to see it. I want to see it with that thing.
I'll tell you what, you find somebody to lift it, I'll take the pictures or do the video.
I don't know at our age if all three of us
All three of us would fall flat on our face.
Now, and you had mentioned this, and when we get to it, what's the difference? Is David the owner? Is that where the David comes from? Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's a different whiskey compared to the Hidden Stills whiskey. It's a different recipe, correct?
So the David E line is what we make grain to glass. So we mash grain in here, distill it, age it, and then bottle it under the David E line. And then we have two hidden still whiskeys that are sourced. Those are sourced so we can help scale our David E line, and then be able to sell into the bars and restaurants at a little bit of a better price.
That's cool. So when you're saying sourced, they're not you have not distilled them on site. Somebody else has put that product out there and you're bringing it in. Is that what you mean by sourced?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is an extremely common practice in this industry. You wouldn't believe how many brands are made by the same person.
Well, I know when I did, we went down to Tennessee last year and we stopped by Jim Beam, and they have several different brands sitting at that thing. So maybe some of that is a source stuff and it's not all distilled there, but that was an interesting, we didn't do any tours. We didn't really have time, but it was just an interesting thing to see Jim Beam, weather permitting. We didn't get to anybody else because we were chasing a storm to get out of there. So we didn't run into it with the motorcycles, but
yeah, and that's something that people, and then, most people are the consumers getting a lot smarter, but one of the first things you'll learn is that Jim Beam White Label, Jim Beam Black Label, Booker's, Baker's, Knob Creek, they all start out the exact same. There's just little tiny tweaks in the the production process along the way, or proof or age, that they're able to create a whole new brand. And the more brands they have, the more shelf space they take up, and more shelf space they take up, the less room there is for everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, the funny thing about it is I don't remember the gentleman's name, but when I stopped in there, I had told him that I was here to see you, and he says, "I'll go get him." And he says, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm David E." I said, "I'm here to pick up the David E." And he just kind of looked at me, and I said, "My name's David Eric," and I said, "I'm David E." So,
believe it or not, you're not the only person that has come in and bought David E because their initials lined up. So
yeah. I just thought it was a nice opportunity to bring that out to him.
I'm pretty sure he knew you weren't the David E. that's on the label.
I'm sure he's seen a few pictures of the original David E. He looks nothing like me.
So getting back to, David mentioned he saw some of the big tanks for future expansion. What kind of future are you guys looking to do?
So currently right now we're working with a 600-gallon mash tank, 3 600-gallon fermenters, and then 600-gallon pot still, and then a 300-gallon pot still. We're looking to grow, which we're about 2/3 there, to a almost 50-foot continuous column still, with 2 4,000-gallon fermenters, 2,000-gallon mash tank, and a 4,000-gallon beer well, which all of that equates to about 10x production we're currently working with.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That's amazing. So do you create these recipes, or were they created and then you became the head distiller, or any of these your original recipes? Because you got a science background, I'm pretty sure you could.
Sure.
It was like second nature to you to do this.
Yeah. So when it comes to building a mash bill, you have 3 components when it comes to whiskey. You have your yield, your flavor, and your conversion. So the yield comes from the corn. The flavor either comes from, predominantly rye, like we use 20% rye, but obviously you can swap that out with wheat and a bunch of other grains. And then your conversion comes from barley. If you sway 5 to 10% or whatever, I don't think you get any sort of like crazy outcome in the end. It's the process that I think really sets you up and sets you apart. Once I was learning things, I looked at, the 70-20-10 mash bill that we were working with. I was fine with it. High rye, good, a lot of flavor. But the process, the step mashing we do, the fermentation cycles, the distilling process, the cuts we implement, that all came from me. So,
wow, that's pretty cool. I think when we had Bill from Old Republic in here, it's a different process when you're talking about a distillery like you guys. Even a moonshiner's a little different, and then a brewery and a winery and stuff. And I think he would love to get a bunch of people together like you guys and talk about the process, because it is different. And when you're talking what you're talking about, I'm trying to relate it to a brewing process. The mash still starts the same, but we're adding yeast and all kind of stuff to it, where you guys don't do that in the distilling, correct?
We have to pitch yeast as well. Okay. We do a dry pitching process. We'll do, as the fermentation tank's filling up, we'll throw half of it in, let it mix up, and then once it's full, we'll sprinkle the rest on top. I've had some brewers in there watch us do that, and they almost passed out. They're like, "What are you doing?" But and the whole thing with rehydrating the dry yeast and everything, it gains you about 45 to 60 minutes of fermentation, and we're on that 4 to 6 day cycle. So our yeast had plenty of time to rehydrate and get active and everything. So we were just saving. We end up saving a little bit of effort, doing the whole rehydration thing and then dumping it in and cleaning out the bucket. So we just whip it in.
And I know before we actually came on here and started recording, you were talking about, learning a lot from listening to podcasts and stuff. Are you constantly learning and trying to build on your skill set to get better at distilling and coming up with new ideas?
Yeah. So how my podcast obsession, kind of started is actually I want to learn about business. So I entered here kind of as a startup, and I just kind of got infatuated with the what most people don't seem like the fun part of it, but yeah, the business aspect. So I want to learn about business. So I just searched, best podcast for business, found a ton, started listening to them. And then I actually did find some brewing and distilling podcasts that I listened to, plowed through, taught me a ton. And at the time I had a really long commute. So 45 minutes each way. So I was knocking out an hour and a half worth of education every day. So
I know when we started down this path of doing our home brews, it was a lot of reading and to understand the process. And again, YouTube can be friendly.
It can. And for me, audio is much better than print. I don't read so great. I read several pages and then I'm through them. Like my mind goes 20 different places. I'm like, I have no idea what I just read. So being able to listen really helps me to,
I'm the same way.
keep in information. So
Yep. Well, I tell you what, it looks like we got another canned cocktail here, and this is the bourbon and ginger one.
it is. So a little bit about this one, the bourbon ginger, we actually don't make with our grain to glass bourbon. It's a source bourbon. We did that because we didn't want to allocate our stocks to canned cocktails. We wanted to keep our stocks for the David E. line. So this is source bourbon and everything, but it's very herbaceous. It's pretty spicy, but it's still very refreshing.
Cheers to the
Cheers.
ginger bourbon.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
2 for 2 right here.
I like that.
For 2. Wow.
That's a common thing. Like and we've seen several canned cocktails where a ginger and bourbon. So it's almost like a married couple right there. Is that?
Yeah, it's not quite like a bourbon mule, and it's not quite a bourbon and ginger ale either. It's related to it, but it's very much its own thing.
That's very good. I like that. I had to tell you what. How many did you get, Dave? It could be a dangerous night.
Yeah, it could be.
I was generous. I think you walked out of there with 2 4-packs. So
I did. I walked out with.
Thank you.
Don't tell them that. They only got 2
I'm
cans.
sorry.
No, I'm teasing. I brought everything over. I brought everything over.
I have to get a fire going after that.
Yeah, good. I was thinking the same thing.
You were very generous, sir, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
do you like do you like drinking the products you do, or are you more of a beer guy, or what do you find yourself when you do want to go out? What do you like to indulge yourself with?
Setting is very important for me. Like at home, I drink more bourbon, and I actually don't drink a lot of our stuff at home just because I don't know. I kind of want to disconnect from work, when I'm at home. So if I do want to kind of unwind with a glass, it kind of bodes well not to sip your own stuff. And plus you just taste it all the time. So, and I'm also very much a consumer as I am a producer. When I first started working in this industry, actually one of the things that really helped me was, just buying everything and learning everything about that bottle I was sipping on. So
I know, getting into home brewing, it was supposed to save us money.
yeah, I hear that's not the case.
It is not the case because, like you, I like to drink what we produce, but I also like to have everybody else's and compare. It's like, oh, hey, I like that. I'm going to see if I can come up with a recipe to kind of replicate that. So, you're trying everybody else's product to compare to yours and see, like you just said, what are they doing different that brings out a different flavor, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and I heard this quote from this Michelin star chef. He said, if you want to know what great food tastes like, you got to eat great food. So I took that to heart. And if I wanted to make great bourbon, I needed to know what, great bourbon tasted like.
Right.
That's right up your guys' alley. I wouldn't know what great bourbon tasted like. Dave tried to give me when I first met him. What was that? A 12-year Scotch?
Yeah,
you said
12-year-old Scotch.
This is the prime stuff, and I spit it out. I was like, oh, well.
Actually,
hey, I don't blame you. I'm not spitting it out, but I gave Scotch the hardest chance because Ron Burgundy told me to, but it's just not for me. Definitely lean more to bourbon and rye whiskey.
Yeah, it isn't.
But
it isn't.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
But then getting back to it, I do very much enjoy beer. I would say beer was actually my first love. And typically after work, that's what I gravitate towards when we head up for the bar for a cold one, especially, over the summer. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you're right. It's the Scotch isn't for everyone. I've had quite a few people who have drank it and they didn't like it, and I decided that I'd try my 12-year-old Glenlivet on Bret, and not anymore. I won't. I mean,
it's not that I've never had Scotch that I didn't enjoy. But most of them, they're just not for me, not for my palate.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find myself, I'm a beer guy, but I could drink these canned cocktails. That'd be a little dangerous.
Those are delicious.
That'd be a little dangerous. What's your favorite beer choice? What's your style?
Belgian beers. I love Belgian beers, and I wish more people did them.
A lot of that banana clove in the background, and you like the doubles and the triples.
Yeah, my favorite is like a really spicy Belgian, like a triple. Yeah, strong ale.
Yep. I've yet to brew one of them, but we may.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
So on your sheet here, you'd said 1 year of deployment. So you're active service still, or?
Nope. I've been out since November 2020. I did 6 years, single National Guard contract.
Thank you for your service.
No, appreciate it.
I said that's right up your and I alley. I was in, you were in.
Yeah.
And when he said about being deployed, I said, oh, well, I can't vouch for it, but you can.
Yeah, that's all seems like my life is deployment.
Yeah. you're being deployed.
I really enjoyed my time, but it was a lot maintaining the military career and a civilian career, especially, when, you're the guy in a small business, when you're, out for 2-3 weeks,
right.
There's not too many people that can cover down on you.
So you're currently married. How many years?
Actually, we just had our 7th anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. You're a baby. I'm sorry.
Children involved? Or planning children or?
No, I have a 4 and a 6-year-old that we had 16 months apart. So we very much have our hands full right now.
Oh my, I'd say. So all that is building to the future. Like, are you planning on expanding and maybe becoming the next owner of Hidden Stills, then maybe pass it on to the family and keep it all together?
There's, like I said, there's a lot going on here and a lot of things that we're planning to do. And obviously growth is the goal. So, but we're going to see, how those chips fall and see what, the founder's future involvement would be if, something happens, or, what my future involvement would be if something happens. But the boys love coming to daddy's work.
I'm sure.
And my wife mommy, she works for the business as well now too, and
Oh wow.
couple times they've claimed sick and got to hang out in mommy's office all day. So
Yeah.
I tell you what, I grew up working with my family in the business. It's not always an easy task, and it is a juggle trying to keep business at business and family at home. Sometimes it does cross paths. So, and kudos to anybody that can juggle it and make it work and still have a one big happy family. So it is a constant struggle, and I can vouch for that, from my younger days with the family business. So,
it was definitely a growing, a growing pains experience. Especially I was so young at the time, you know what I mean? And, things happen, whatever, but it's gotten a lot easier to manage as I've gotten older, more mature and everything. And actually, me and my wife get along great at work. We don't really have any issues. And if there's gripes, we're actually kind of complaining about the same thing usually, or, if something cool's happening, we're both excited about it. And
that's awesome.
We work in two totally different, departments. I run the production side and she's head of office administration. So we intersect, but not too much that, impacts what we're doing. So
what's some of you, go ahead. You got something to say?
That's all right.
No.
What events do you have coming up?
Well, we just did PA Flavor that they host in the Harrisburg Farm Show complex.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And beyond that, that's kind of something the sales force kind of handles. I get kind of brought on for this and some more important things. I should have checked our company calendar.
But I know when we had met, who was the couple that was down at the Winter Brew Fest? That's where we first met you guys and talked to them. And I think that's how we got the connection with you, is because they brought the information back. But is that part of your sales force, going out to events like a brew fest or some kind of like the PA Flavor, where they can get your product in front of people that probably wouldn't partake in it?
Yeah. And trust me, while I'm not doing as many as I used to back, when we were very, young as a company, and it was we had very few people on staff. I did every single one of them. So, no, it didn't matter if we had to stay late, 2 or 3 times during the week, and there was an event on a Saturday, we did every single one of them. But now we're fortunately to have grown and brought staff on. We have a decent sized in-house sales force. So we let them kind of maintain that front.
Yeah. See, he has people. I mean,
Yeah, we don't fucking have people.
We don't have people.
Hey, we didn't either. We had to get there.
We're the people.
We the people.
We the people. I've heard that before. It's just sound like on the side of a building or something.
Yeah, kind of on a big piece of paper.
Yeah.
Going forward, you're talking about, because I know you said you're trying to learn everything you can about a business, and I can relate to that. But going forward, I know we had touched on the expansion of the production facility to get more product out there. Anything in the future that the staff has talked about, like different branches or maybe other things like that? Or do you guys have a restaurant up there that they do as well?
Oh, well, do they have a restaurant?
Do they?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to come up with an idea and a picture that we can paint for our audience as to what Hidden Still is and what it could be.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, right now my leadership skills are being extremely tested, as we grow, we're bringing more staff on. I can't have my hands on every single aspect anymore, and I have to, delegate and put other people in charge of things that many, not very long ago, I was just doing myself, and being able to trust them and, develop processes and programming, everything with production, and then also integrating with various departments here and distributors. And there's a lot of construction going on here. We're building our packaging facility, so where we're also storing our barrels and holding outbound operations. So we had to jack out the whole floor, and also, there was construction workers and contractors crawling all over the place while we were trying to do things. So being able to efficiently operate with so much going on has really stretched me a little bit. But we plan on doing going forward is, like I said, continuing to grow with the the column production. We have the new packaging facility. We have the sales force that are trying to open up more and more accounts. So just keep trying to do that and keep trying to plug along. But going back to what you said before with the restaurant, yes, we have a full bar and restaurant. I think it's 300 seats, 2 floors. So
sounds like dinner plans one night.
Yep.
Our chef is extremely talented. We have a full menu, apps, main courses, handhelds. We just launched our summer menu a couple weeks ago. New drink menu. So
do you guys, like the brew houses carry your product, do you guys source the local craft beers to keep in the bar as well, or how does that go?
Yep. So we support the people that support us, and we have a lot of our partners, on a rotating basis. Obviously, we have 12 taps. We can't make everybody happy at once, and obviously you have to have things like Yingling and so forth, taking up a handle or two. So
how about food pairings? You guys do that in the restaurant with what you make with the spirits?
It's something we want to get into. So this isn't our first restaurant we had. We started out in Lebanon way back when, and then moved up to Hershey in October of 2020. And we had a restaurant in Lebanon, but we only opened this restaurant in February of 22. And the only staff member that we carried over from Lebanon to Hershey was actually our executive chef. So we've been working on establishing the restaurant, the process, and the staff and processes and staff and everything. Now we're at a pretty good point where we're looking to do more events like that, food pairings, tap takeovers, stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool.
That's a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you what, we had talked enough about whiskey.
Yeah.
And this is the David E. You call this your flagship, one of your flagships, right? This is they call the Black Label.
Yeah, we call it the Black Label. We color coordinate most of our expressions. We have Black Label, Red Label. A lot of people call the Double Oak Purple Label. But this is what we're most known for. And it's at 91 proof, which is kind of that sweet spot for experienced bourbon drinkers and new bourbon drinkers. But to understand our style of bourbon, you got to understand our equipment. So we are true double pot still bourbon. A lot of people that claim pot stills have a pot still that feeds into a column tray. But we don't. We have a 600-gallon pot still with a low reflux column. And then we have a 300 pot still with a low reflux helmet on it. So what that's going to provide you is maximum mouthfeel and then maximum flavor. So our bourbon is going to be extreme, even at just 4 years, extremely robust, extremely complex, and very viscous.
So what are some of the flavors you're trying to get out of this? Because I'm not going to taste them. I can tell you that right now because I'm a beer guy.
So on the nose, you're actually going to get quite a bit of still some raw grains, but not in an off-putting way. And it's kind of enveloped in honeysuckle. And on the palate, you're kind of going to, it is still going to be grain forward, but you're going to get a lot of, it's pretty herbaceous, and you're going to get a lot of fresh cracked pepper with a lot of like sweet corn or like candy corn type sweetness, finished kind of with some smoke.
All right. So you got yours ready there?
I do.
All right. So here is to the David E. Black Label Bourbon Whiskey. Cheers.
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 All right. Let it breathe. And then take another swig.
Are you talking about letting you breathe? As we progress, can you get into the proofs a little bit more? You know, what minimal, maximum? I don't know. What's good, what's bad for different styles?
Is smooth.
Good.
Actually,
So the proof is really, preference for you. You know what I mean? And what the goal of the bourbon is also may dictate what proof you're going to make it. So take like we have a cocktail bourbon, if you will, that's 80 proof, but then in that lower $20 range. And that's designed to put in a cocktail, with the price point and everything, you don't feel so bad putting it in a cocktail. Not that, a higher proof, more expensive bourbon can't make a great cocktail. It really does. But bars and restaurants need to make their margins. And also, you want to, have that high volume. But when it comes to sipping, it really is a preference thing. A lot of people like those more delicate proofs in the low 80s, 90s, I would say is middle tier. Me personally, I like the higher proof bourbons.
Yeah.
Just because they're just more robust. And as you gain maturity and experience in whiskey, I think that's what you end up gravitating towards.
So being not the whiskey guy, but
Sure.
here's the label. So you guys, even on the label, you guys are labeling, what bottle and batch it is. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, fortunately, like I said, we grow. We have more staff on. I do not find myself on the bottling line much anymore. But not that long ago, I was on the bottling line every day, hand labeling these things and handwriting on them. And
that's your protege doing that then, right?
Actually, we were extremely fortunate to have some part-time retirees show some interest in us. We have 2 part-time retirees that combined give us about 30 to 35 hours a week. They actually both worked at TMI, 3 Mile Island, together. One was a chemist, and the other one, I'm not quite sure what he did, but he described his job as he was the one who put on the rubber suit and went in there. So from time to time, he glows green.
I was just getting ready to say, was there a glow going on?
Yeah. But they do all the packaging for us, and then we did just recently, within the past couple months, hire another full-time person that runs the packaging aspect.
So what I was going to get to is, I am being not a bourbon or whiskey kind of guy. You said that's only like a 3 or 4 year old bottle.
So it's 4-year-old.
It's actually very smooth for being young. And after I did the initial burn breathe, which I learned from Yanni from Mason Dixon, I did get some of that sweet tones in the back end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is very good. For not being a whiskey guy, that was enough. That's all I'm going to do.
I don't know if you saw, but we actually poured seconds.
I did
here.
pour a second swig,
We poured seconds here.
but for not being a whiskey guy, that bourbon I could drink over like the Jim Beam and the Jack and stuff. Well, Jack, I'm never drinking again, but that's actually very smooth. I like that.
It's
Well, I appreciate that. One of the things to putting yourself out there like that, making the whiskey and selling it to a consumer. One of the things that comes with it is the kind words, like you just said, and also a vast amount of criticism as well. So people that enjoy it and tell me that they enjoy it, it really does mean a lot. So I appreciate that.
Kudos to that, because I was expecting that initial bourbon burn, and I can't choke this down, and but I might be able to have maybe a quarter glass sitting around a campfire.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've tried to keep up with these guys around our campfire pits with whiskey.
It just falls in the fire.
It doesn't work too well.
I found that our bourbon, it really lends itself to the mature palate, because it's almost like bourbon flavored bourbon. It has like the classic bourbon notes, and because of that, double pot still, it's just elevated and kind of in your face a little bit more. So being a beer drinker that's not so much into bourbon, liking it, that's a little bit of a surprise. But
yeah,
appreciate it.
But yeah, I'm strictly beer. I mean, I'd love to be able to get in and sip in this stuff, because one thing that the distilled liquors do not do is bloat you like beer does.
Oh, yeah.
And it may not create the keg that I got growing above my belt, but I just have yet to acquire that taste. But that was good. That was very good. I may have to take a bottle of this up to my training event here in next month in May, as we're recording this in May, not while this is being released, and give it to some of my guys that do like bourbon and see what they say. They like, and that's why we are chasing these stories, because this is a crafted product. This is not mass produced like the Jim Beam, the Jack Daniels, the Four Roses and stuff. This is crafted individually, small. Are you guys considered small batch? Is that what you guys would call yourselves?
Yeah. So small batch isn't something that's legally defined. General rule of thumb, small batch is 100 barrels or less dumped. We do 4-barrel batches. So yes, I would definitely categorize us as small batch. And when a lot of people put handmade and, small batch or whatever, we literally are handmade. We are hand dumping grain into our mash tank and, connecting our flexible hosing, and, we use a pallet jack, 8 to 30 times a day. So
I think
we really ring true to that, small batch, handcrafted.
I think we send our retired person up there for a production day to get content of Cody and his staff doing production.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we could do that.
If that's
even considering that we're so hands-on, we have a high operational tempo. We produce 4 out of the 5 days of the week, and even the day that we're not producing, we're doing a lot of barrel moving and different things. So we're a little atypical for a craft distillery, where we're on almost 100% of the time.
That's a fitness program within itself, huh?
Oh yeah,
Of course.
So do you got proteges under you to take your spot? Are you training the next distiller?
Currently, my production manager, who's been with me since January 2019 would probably fall under that category. And I've already passed off most of the production aspect of it, really. He's the one, really hand making all this stuff. He's mashing in, he's transferring the fluid and everything. I just don't have the time anymore to be able to, track that and time that and, do everything that, is required, hands-on and paying attention and everything. So he's, most of the whiskey, that people are going to be tasting in the next, year or two, it's made by him, not me. So
that's pretty cool. So he's starting what you did, laborer, and working his way through. So kudos for training the next person in line.
And it's difficult, because you watch someone doing something and, you can step in and do it 10 times faster. And it's like, you can't do it. If you want to be able to, get more out of the facility and out of your team, you got to let them do it.
Yep. And the one thing that I've learned as a business owner trying to train automotive technicians is if I can show them a clear and decisive path on their journey and how I, as the owner, can get them there. But like you just said, you can't do the job for them. You need to let them make their mistakes and learn from their mistakes and go forward. And hopefully they have your background where I need to research and find stuff out as much as possible to continue my skill set. And putting your team around you is the best thing you can do as a business owner. That's how it works. And once the team, the business,
you get more done as a whole than an individual. So,
did we cover what are your hours? How many days a week are you open? Maybe I missed that.
So as a production facility, we're doing 5 days a week, but the bar and restaurant is open every day except Tuesday.
Okay.
So what's some of your favorite foods at the restaurant?
They did, like I said, they did just change over the menu, and I haven't exactly been able to venture through it yet, but some of the past favorite items for me, I'm a spice guy, so I like the Nashville hot chicken. He also does some awesome lollipop, they're not chicken wings, they're like the drumsticks, the lollipops. And then he did this Maryland pit beef sandwich where it's slow smoked pit beef, and then he has this horseradish sauce that goes on. It's very nice.
That sounds good. And I tell you what, that would go real good with this Black Label, because the Black Label brings a little, like you said, like a pepper spice to it. That would be a good food pairing right there.
Yeah, our executive chef is one of his passions when it comes to cuisine is smoking. We have a pretty large smoker out back that we slow smoke, like ribs, pork butts, other chicken and everything. So,
man. Dinner plans.
Yeah.
Dinner plans.
Yeah, I saw that layout of your restaurant, and I was just, I said, I've got to get back up here. And it is so nice. And then I looked at your menu, and I said, you know what? The next time I'm up here, and I'm up there at least once a month up in Hershey, we'll probably be stopping in and grabbing something to eat. Definitely. Because that is a very nice place you got up there, man.
Yeah, they did a great job designing the place. The kitchen, it has the white subway tile going all the way across. So you walk in and the whole place is just extremely clean. The white marbling with the bar and all the light fixtures. I don't know if you noticed the light fixtures. They all chose like Edison bulbs and very rustic industrial style fixtures.
That's a popular style right now. What's some of your personal interest outside of the distilling with your wife and kids? Do you have any personal interest you guys do?
Well, my wife and kids take up quite a bit of my time. in addition to work, I do work quite a bit of hours. And then, like I said, wife and kids and everything, but I'm really into film, like movies and so forth. I've reinvigorated my my fitness. It was something that I was extremely passionate about high school and college. And, as you're focusing on your career and your family and everything, it kind of goes by the wayside. But I saw myself, I'm young, but not quite too old yet. So I wanted to give it, another shot. So I started getting back in the gym and weight training and everything.
That's good. Because I'm weight training too. I'm just gaining it.
That's part of it. So sometimes you got to reach a certain point before you get back into it. So you're on the process.
Well, I'm getting old, so I just thought instead of the 6-pack, I'd just start collecting keg. Start building keg. Yeah, that's it, man. Why go for 6-pack when I can get the whole keg?
All right. No, that's good.
Yeah.
But then a new hobby of mine, I got into Formula One racing.
Holy cow!
Not driving or anything but watching it.
Okay, we had a guest on here who raced motorcycles. That's why whenever you said that, it's the first thing that came to him. Only
No, I would love to get behind a car, but no, I just watching it, and then actually was fortunate enough. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be going to the Miami Grand Prix. So I'm very excited about that.
You know what? That has become that's I think bigger than NASCAR right now is the Formula racing. And I just
that Netflix show extremely blew it up.
Yeah. But I mean, it's huge. And I just talked to somebody else that they were into, and I'm like, well, if I ever wanted a good afternoon nap, I'd turn on NASCAR and I'd be asleep within 3 laps. But Formula One, I never really got into it because to me, there wasn't as much action as compared to a NASCAR race if you were into that. But they've promoted it, like you just said, with the Netflix, and they're really highlighting some of their key drivers. And is it Red Bull that's been dominating their 2 drivers? Are they the 2 drivers?
Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. They're like 1-2 or 1-3 almost every race right now.
I mean, who was the guy back when we grew up that was the big formula? Mario? Is that
Andretti?
Yeah, Andretti. Was it Andretti?
Well, I think he was IndyCar.
See, and I don't know what is there a difference between Indy and F1?
There is a difference, and I'm still learning it. Like I said, I'm still very new to it. But yes, there's a difference with IndyCar and Formula One. But the big guy who people would probably say is the best to ever do it was Schumacher, and then the other one that they would say is it's like 1A 1B is Lewis Hamilton. He's still a current driver.
Is that because they make a big deal of it. I think one night I was watching it. They were in Saudi Arabia, and it was like the track was like all lit up at night, and it was like, damn, this is pretty cool. They're making a big deal of it.
They have Grand Prix all around the world. Miami's going to be my first.
My first was in Monte Carlo.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, when I got there, the race was last week, and I was there. The race actually was the week before that I was there. But I was there, I got to see all the signage and everything. It's kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, I never
bucket list though is Vegas. The Vegas race looks awesome. They shut down the strip, and they're racing on the road that trucks and buses and everything were just driving on, and it's all lit up and it looks awesome.
I think the coolest part of that, even like down in Miami, or what was it, Daytona, that they did it as well, or is that where they did one, or was it just Miami?
They do.
I think the 3 American races they do is Miami, Vegas, and Austin.
But I think just the setup would be cool as hell to watch. Not just typically the race, but just how they shut the streets down and design the track. that nobody, if a car goes out of control, nobody's getting hit. That's cool. So good luck and have fun, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks.
Is this just a guy trip, or is the whole family going?
No, it's actually for my father-in-law's 60th birthday. We're
oh wow!
Wow.
So
me
the
and the
whole
wife,
Yeah.
my brother-in-law and mother-in-law were all going down.
the
So
whole hidden still entourage.
yeah,
Nice.
So where is the hidden still that the illegal liquors are made from?
it's an homage to the illicit production of distilled spirits. No, we never did anything illegally. We're very much by the book here.
I know that. I'm just throwing that out to be a little asinine.
Understood. Way too much on the line, though.
That's not the word I was thinking about, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm a dick. I know.
That was the word.
I've watched a moonshiner show, and it's like, how much of illegal activity is that? Because if they're showing them on TV, the cops can't find them. Really?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those are some crafty guys, though. I watched that show and seeing how they, get the water and everything. They're pretty inventive.
And that's where NASCAR came from. So
Yeah, well, that's how it came, man. The moonshine runners,
Mhm.
the runners. So, but speaking of that, when we had Bill and Old Republic here, we had Jimmy from Jimmy Jack's Shine Shack,
oh yeah.
and they talk about, is it the heads and the tails when you're distilling liquors? Is that correct? And what do you
have? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just trying to, because Jimmy doesn't drink, so he does his by smell and feel. But when you're trying to find the heads and the tails, what is the heads? What's the tails? What's the good part of that? How do you know that? Or the hearts? I guess you guys are looking for the heart of it, right?
Yeah. So most people will say you have 3 phases. I would probably say you have 4 phases of distillation when it comes to a very specific style of distillation. So we do batch style distillation, which means you fill up your still, you distill everything off, and then you empty it and you fill it up again. So with batch style distillation, I would say you have 4 phases: your 4 shots, your heads, your hearts, and then your tails. So your 4 shots are your most volatile and harmful chemicals that you want to get out of there and completely pitch. Your heads are a very, very flavorful component of your run, and you need to decide how much you either want to leave in or leave out, and make part of your hearts or make part of your 4 shots. Then your hearts are your, no-brainer, like this is just good tasting, safe whiskey to consume. And then your tails are your heavier, thick components of your run that, again, you would decide how much you want to either put into your hearts or leave as your tails. And while a lot of people, and we've done it as a sensory thing, a lot of it is predicated on your temperature. So your 4 shots will start actually distilling off first. As I mentioned, they're your most volatile components of your mixture, which volatility mainly just means it comes off at a lower boiling point, or it evaporates first. That starts coming off, I want to say 164 degrees Fahrenheit. And some stills will have bells and whistles with valves that can detect that and be open and allow those those 4 shots to escape. And then once it raises above 164, 165, that valve will close, and then you'll enter your heads phase. And your heads phase is between that 164, 165 to about 170 to 172 degrees Fahrenheit. And that once you reach that 170, 172, that's when you're in your heart's phase. And same thing with tails. Obviously, tails is later because it has a higher boiling point due to the heavier chemical structure of it, which some people will tell you that 205 degrees Fahrenheit is when you start reaching your tails phase.
Is there distinct products for each of those phases? Like if you're really creating, trying to get the best product, which is your hearts and some heads for the tails, like you were saying. But is there some products that you guys can use for the off processes that you're not using, or not?
So when you're deciding to make your cuts, I like to do the same thing every time. So we're very much we're making bourbon every day and we're executing a process that can be anywhere between 1 and 5 different products ours. And I try to replicate that every time. And I mainly go by volume and then proof when I'm making my cuts. Just because, many years ago, we were extremely tethered to that still, tasting, smelling, and then, collecting it, tasting the mixture of the solution after the fact, like, oh, okay, I think maybe this is a little too headsy, or like, oh, I think we put, too many tails. But we did, not perfected, but we got to where we wanted to be years ago. So now, when it comes to pulling off the 4 shots and the heads, we pretty much know we're going to get X amount of gallons every time. And then when it comes to the tails, we know once we hit this proof coming off the still, okay, we want to cut it and separate the hearts and start ripping off the tails to recycle.
Yeah.
That's some of the content that Bill and them are saying is interesting. I mean, because as trying to still learn brewing processes, you were just speaking Greek to me, but it was interesting to hear it.
I've heard it before though.
Well, I've heard the terminology.
Yeah.
I would love to see how it's done. I mean, that would be great content.
That makes a lot of sense of how he spilled that out.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. Guys, anything else you guys want to add?
At this point, no. I mean, it's just that I tell you what, we've covered a lot. I can't think of anything of my visit that we've missed. That while I was up there, I did talk to your assistant. That was kind of cool. But no, not at this point, except for the fact that I do want to do a revisit, and I need a revisit, and I do need to stop in and taste your wares at your restaurant. Definitely,
we all do. Kevin, anything?
I got a double thank you, Dave, for stopping and bringing this. This was 3 out of 3 so far.
Yeah,
and thank you, Cody. This was really nice.
Yeah, we were kind of lucky. I was sitting there and the email came through.
Yeah, Cody and I were emailing back and forth, trying to figure this out.
And of course, and I have, I've tapped into their system. They don't know it, but anyway,
this is the Chinese over here.
Jeez, I'm not that bad. But yeah, I had actually saw the email actually came over my watch, and I looked at it and it says, "Oh, Cody," and I hit it, and then it came up and it said that you were going to ship it. And then I said, "Well, where is this guy?" And I punched it up on my phone, and it says he's like 1.4 miles away from me. No, we can't do that.
No, I was going to go get it.
Yeah, no, I was right there. I was lucky.
It was awesome because then you got to see the facility.
I got to see the facilities. I got to meet you guys and talk to you guys and watch you bottle. That was kind of cool. I was in the room watching it bottle, and and I saw that you did have public tours. You suspended them until the construction's over. So if anybody's listening, man, when they bring up when they go back, you need to get up there.
So are you guys? He just mentioned the public tours. Is that something that you guys love to do? I know some people do, some people don't. That's why I'm asking.
No, I enjoy doing tours. It's just right now tours are kind of limited to prospective accounts, different groups and so forth. But we're not quite ready for public tours. We're working towards it. We don't exactly know how that piece is going to look. Who's going to be executing those tours? I obviously probably can't do, multiple tours a day and then keep up with, what I got going on. So is that a new staff member? Is it, like a high speed restaurant staff member? So that's something we're going to have to sort out and look through.
I think people that come in there, the educational part of it, actually just what we just learned about the 4 phases of this distilling is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I asked about, because sometimes the head distiller or the head brewer don't like the tours because it's interrupting your production side of it. And some people do, but it's given the outside people an inside look at what it takes to make some great product. So I think it's great if they can get back to that.
Yeah,
Cody,
the details sell. They always do.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm in the auto repair business. It's not a business to sell. Anything that you want to bring up before we get out of here and end this discussion? Anything we haven't touched on that you want to add?
No, I don't believe so. I think we covered everything. Talked about a lot of our stuff, what we got going on, and just to reiterate, we're about barreling whiskey here. We do bourbon, rye whiskey. We barrel light whiskey a couple different times, and something else we're doing is we're doubling down on high quality, unique grains. We started working with a farmer that's might be the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life, and he's resurrecting extinct grains from the from the genome. We're the only distillery to have certain strains of grain right now that we're using for all of our bourbons and our rye whiskeys and everything. So
is that a PA farmer?
Yep. So we're the only distillery in the world to have a recreation of the Egyptian white mammoth rye, which was the strain of rye that built the Pennsylvania rye whiskey industry in the mid 1700s to late 1800s.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. It's extremely high quality, and it produces extremely flavorful whiskey.
Well, if this last one tastes anything like the first one, and you got a beer drinker to actually say something compliment about it, I'm looking forward to it. Tell us once again who you are, where they can find Hidden Still Spirits, and a little bit finalizing what they can expect when they come to Hidden Still.
So my name's Cody. I'm the head distiller at Hidden Still Spirits, located in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And if you come to Hidden Still, you can have a high quality cuisine experience and whiskey experience.
That's awesome.
Great.
Well, Cody, this has been an absolute fabulous discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have one more whiskey here that we're going to be cheersing out, and Kevin's got the bottle in front of him. And this is kind of a play off of the Black Label.
Yep. So the David E. Double Oaked is essentially mature David E. that we threw in a brand new, unused number 4 char, 53-gallon barrel for an additional 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
Wow.
Before we get out of here and cheers out with this, what's some of the longest barrel age that you guys let sit? I wanted to bring that up earlier. So if it sits like this was a 4-year barrel, what's some of the longest ones that sit in the barrel?
So we had grand plans of being a 5-year age stated bourbon, but to grow and sell more whiskey, you have to harvest more barrels. And we ended up, building our sales to a point where we couldn't quite get to that 5-year age statement. But we do have some 6-year, some 5-year, some 4-year, and typically in those 4-barrel batches, it could be, 1 or 2 6-year-olds with, 2 4-year-olds or all 4-year-olds. But I would say our oldest right now is 6-year. And again, I would love to hang on to a barrel or two for, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. But right now we really need to use everything we have.
Well, if we can hike one of them out of there,
Yeah.
we'll let it age as long as possible.
Yeah.
Well, if you like it so much, you probably won't be able to.
We're going to have to maybe get with Cody and get a CPP only barrel.
Yeah.
Do you do that private stock barrels where they can come up and pick a stock?
Yeah, we've done some barrel picks and even private labels for establishments, which is always a fun experience. I get to taste through the barrels with, the individuals. And it's always cool. I feel like I take it for granted sometimes, being in the distillery with, that grain coming off the hot water and it's in the air and you're smelling it and you're thieving a barrel, a thieving whiskey right out of a barrel. And it's like, oh yeah, let's monitor this and I'll brush it off and I'll go home. But, whenever people come in and do what we do every day, it's like, their eyes are wide and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it really is an experience.
It's kind of like when we went up to brew our beer at Sign of the Horse. Our eyes were like, wow, this is cool as hell.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what flavors we might get out of this double oak compared to the black label.
Sure. So you're going to get a lot of the same flavors, just a little more refined. So the barrel we use is I mentioned it's a 53-gallon barrel, white oak, but it's a number 4 char as opposed to like a toasted barrel. So that extra layer of char is going to help refine and smooth out the whiskey a little bit more than it already is. And we leave it in there long enough in that 6 to 8 month time frame where it's going to take on some even more oak character. So those raw grain notes are going to kind of turn more into, like root beer barrel, sarsaparilla. There's some like cake batter notes in there, but it still has some of that, that spice, a little bit of that smoke to counteract those more dessert notes.
All right. Well, you got your glass there, Cody?
I do.
All right. Well, if you're out there, let's raise a glass with Cody and the Hidden Still Spirits, and from Kevin, Dave, and myself, Bret. And we're normally bonded by beer, but we're going to be going out of here, and we're going to be bonded by booze. Let's raise a glass with Cody again and the CPP, and let's all be bonded by booze.
Cheers.